Please like and subscribe to the channel if you find this video interesting and useful. Give me more ideas you want me to make. Enjoy watching the video. Ever wake up and realize your entire life just got hijacked? Not metaphorically. I mean, literally stolen right out from under you. What would you do if the person you trusted enough to sleep with just vanished with everything that made you you? How do you even begin to explain to your best friend that you're trapped in someone else's body? My name is Marcus. Well, it was Marcus. Now, according to every piece of ID in this purse, I'm Seraphina, 26 years old, marketing assistant, and apparently the world's greatest identity thief. Except she didn't just steal my identity, she stole my actual body. 3 weeks ago, Seraphina started at our company. Gorgeous brunette. Those intense eyes that seem to look right through you. Every guy in the office was falling over themselves to help her settle in, including me. Apparently, she was friendly, a little flirty, kept finding excuses to stop by my desk. When she suggested drinks after work last Friday, I thought I'd hit the jackpot. We went to this dive bar near her place. A couple of beers, lots of laughing, her hand on my thigh. When she invited me up to her apartment, every rational thought went straight out the window. The sex was incredible. Mind-blowing, actually. I passed out right after, completely exhausted. Then I woke up. The ceiling was wrong. That was my first thought. Seraphina's apartment had this weird textured ceiling, not the smooth white of my bedroom. I tried to sit up and immediately knew something was seriously wrong. My center of gravity was off. There was weight on my chest that shouldn't exist. Hair falling in my face that was way too long to be mine. I stumbled to the bathroom mirror and nearly had a heart attack. Seraphina's face stared back at me. Her body, her everything. I was looking at myself through her eyes. I grabbed my phone. Well, her phone. My phone was gone along with my wallet, my keys, everything that belonged to Marcus. There was a note on the nightstand. Thanks for the trade. Enjoy your new life, Marcus. That was it. No explanation, no way to reverse it. Just me standing naked in a stranger's bathroom, trying not to completely lose it. The first thing I did was look down. Really? Look. This wasn't my body. These breasts, full and perky, hanging from my chest, the narrow waist, wider hips, thick thighs, and obviously the most glaring difference, smooth skin where my equipment should be, replaced by what was now my new hardware. I touched my face, my arms, my stomach, all real, all wrong, all mine. Now, apparently, I needed a shower. Maybe cold water would wake me up from whatever nightmare this was. Stepping into Seraphina's shower was surreal. The water hit differently on the skin. I had to adjust the shower head lower. Washing this body was a whole education in new geography. These breasts were heavier than they looked, sensitive in ways I didn't expect. The peaks hardened immediately under the water, sending unexpected shivers through me. The soft stomach, the wide hips, the buttocks that stuck out further than I was used to. I tried to be clinical about it, but my hands were shaking the entire time. When I washed between my legs, the absence of familiar equipment made me want to scream. Instead, there was completely different plumbing indoor instead of outdoor, if you know what I mean. Getting out, I realized I had no idea how to deal with this hair. It was long, wet, and everywhere. I found a towel and did my best, but it took forever to get even remotely dry. Water kept dripping from places I wasn't expecting. Standing there dripping, I had to face the reality. This was my body now. These breasts with their pink buttons, this new basement apartment, these thighs that touched when I stood all mine. I studied myself in the mirror, turning to see angles I'd only ever admired on other women. The body was objectively attractive. Toned stomach, great buttocks, perky breasts that didn't need a bra to look good. But it wasn't mine. Or was it? If I was stuck in it, didn't that make it mine by default? I wrapped myself in Seraphina's robe and started searching the apartment. Her laptop was gone. My clothes from last night were gone, but her clothes were all here. Her work badge. Her entire life just waiting for someone to step into it. The closet was depressing. Seraphina dressed like she was afraid of her own body, loose blouses, conservative skirts, nothing that showed any personality. Everything was beige, gray, or black. Professional to the point of invisible. I pulled out item after item, getting more frustrated. This woman had a body that could stop traffic and dressed like she was hiding from the world. I grabbed the most boyish outfit I could find, loose jeans and an oversized t-shirt. But first, underwear. Seraphina's drawer was exactly what I expected, plain cotton, everything. White, beige, more beige. Not a single piece that suggested she even remembered she was a woman under her clothes. The bra was my first real challenge. I'd taken off plenty in my old life. But putting one on? Completely different story. The clasps were backwards, or my arms were, or both. I twisted, contorted, tried stepping into it, tried doing it backwards and spinning it around. Finally, I found a YouTube tutorial on her phone. Some teenager made it look easy. Took me 4 tries to get it right. The underwear was simpler, but felt wrong, too small, sitting directly against my new facilities. The jeans were another adventure. Women's jeans make no sense. The sizing is completely arbitrary and the pockets are fake. Why are the pockets fake? These hips required a whole different approach to pulling pants up. And the zipper was on the wrong side. Everything was on the wrong side. I had to get home. Had to find Leo, my roommate. He'd help me figure this out. The Uber ride to our apartment was the longest 20 minutes of my life. Every bump in the road reminded me how different this body was. The seatbelt sat weird across my breasts. My feet didn't quite reach the floor comfortably. Leo answered the door in his boxers, clearly just waking up at noon on a Saturday. Can I help you? Leo asked, looking confused but interested. Great. My best friend was checking out my new breasts. Leo, it's me. It's Marcus. Leo laughed. Yeah, right? Look, if Marcus sent you here as some kind of prank. No, listen. Remember when you got food poisoning from that sketchy taco truck last month? You spent 3 hours destroying our bathroom while I held your hair back. You made me promise never to tell anyone that you cried watching the end of Marley and Me. Your middle name is Eugene and you hate it. His face went pale. What the hell? It's me, Leo. That girl from work, Seraphina. We hooked up last night and I woke up like this. She stole my body. I know how insane that sounds, but... I gestured helplessly at myself. This isn't funny, Marcus, Leo said, stepping back. I spent the next hour proving it was really me. Inside jokes, shared memories, his browser history he thought I didn't know about. Finally, he believed me. Or at least believed something impossible had happened. So, you're really Marcus in there? Leo gestured vaguely at my body. Yeah, and I have no idea what to do, I admitted. Leo let me move back into my room. Well, technically Seraphina's stuff moved into Marcus's room. We tried calling my phone, but it went straight to voicemail. My credit cards were being used across the country. Seraphina had completely vanished with my body and was living my life somewhere else. Monday meant going to work. I had to pretend to be Seraphina or lose her job, which was now my only income. Getting ready was a production. Makeup was out of the question. I'd look like a clown. But I had to at least look presentable. Our bathroom was full of my old guy products. Nothing useful for this body. I had to use the basics from Seraphina's stuff I'd brought over. Shower, brush teeth, tried to tame this hair into something professional. The commute was the same route, but a completely different experience. Men stared on the subway, not even subtle about it. One guy actually moved seats to sit closer. I death glared him until he got uncomfortable and moved back. Same train, same stops, but this body came with a whole new set of problems I'd never considered. The office was a minefield. A woman from accounting cornered me immediately. Seraphina, how was your weekend? You disappeared from the office party so early Friday night, she said, leaning against my desk. The office party, right? Seraphina had gone to some office thing before meeting me at the bar. Oh, you know, just tired, I managed. Well, you missed the drama. That guy from IT finally admitted he has a crush on you. He was asking everyone where you went, she continued, clearly enjoying the gossip. Great. The guy from IT who smelled like cheese and had asked Marcus for advice about talking to Seraphina just last week. Throughout the day, coworkers kept asking Seraphina about her weekend. Men held doors open, offered to carry things, found excuses to stop by my desk. The boss was the worst. He spoke to my breasts instead of my face during our morning meeting. I watched his eyes track down and back up at least 6 times while discussing quarterly reports. Seraphina, I need you to stay late tonight. We need to go over the Jenkins presentation, he said, his hand briefly touching my shoulder. The old Marcus would have said, sure, no problem. But something about the way he was looking at me, the unnecessary touching, made my skin crawl. I can't tonight. Previous commitment, I said firmly. His face shifted, annoyed. This is important, Seraphina. You need to be a team player. I'll come in early tomorrow instead. He wasn't happy, but let it go. I realized with a sick feeling that Seraphina might have faced this every day. No wonder she dressed so conservatively. The worst part was seeing Seraphina's desk. My desk, Marcus's desk, was empty, cleared out completely. An email went around that afternoon saying Marcus had taken a senior position with another company out of state. Family emergency requiring relocation. No forwarding information. Everyone just accepted it. 3 years at this company and I was erased in a single email. That first week was hell. I had no idea how to be a woman. Sitting to pee every time, dealing with creeps on the street, the way clothes fit, the way people treated me. Everything was different and exhausting. Leo was surprisingly cool about it. He helped me figure out basic stuff. Though, he did laugh when I told him I tried to pee standing up out of habit and made a mess. Dude, you have to sit now, Leo said through the bathroom door while I cleaned up. I know that now. I yelled back, mortified. Just saying. Maybe remember that for next time, he laughed. By the second week, the depression hit hard. This was permanent. Seraphina was gone with my body, and I was stuck. I'd lie in bed staring at the ceiling, hyper-aware of every difference. The weight of my breasts when I rolled over, the absence between my legs, the way my hips moved when I walked. But bodies have needs. By week 2, the frustration was building. This equipment was completely different, but the urges were still there. One night, Leo went out with friends, and I was alone. Curious, I locked my door and decided to do some apartment maintenance. Very thorough maintenance. Very hands-on inspection of the facilities. The anatomy was like learning a new apartment layout. Different rooms, different features. Had to check all the switches, test all the buttons. When I finally found the right combination for the thermostat, holy hell, the way it built from inside, waves instead of that focused urgency I was used to. When I finished the inspection, it was like the whole building's electricity surged at once. Then I discovered this apartment could handle multiple maintenance sessions. 3 hours of intensive property management later, I was exhausted, sweaty, and slightly addicted to home improvement. Leo knocked on my door. You okay in there? Sounded like you were moving furniture, Leo called through the door. Just reorganizing, I called back, mortified. At 1 a.m.? Leo sounded amused. Couldn't sleep. I heard him laugh as he walked away. Sure, Marcus. Reorganizing. Got it. Pretty sure he knew exactly what kind of maintenance I had been doing. The home improvement became a regular thing. Every shower became an opportunity for checking the plumbing. Very thorough pipe inspection. I learned all the valves, all the pressure points. Discovered the shower head had some interesting applications for water pressure testing. This body was like a complex apartment, and I was determined to know every inch of the property. 3 weeks in, something shifted. I stopped fighting it. This was my body now. Time to own it. The first shopping trip was awkward. I stood in Target's women's section like a lost tourist. A sales girl asked if I needed help, and I almost ran away. But I was done wearing Seraphina's tent collection. I need jeans that actually fit, I told the sales girl. What size? She asked. I have no idea, I admitted. She was patient, helped me figure out sizing. The first pair of skinny jeans I tried on was a revelation. They hugged my buttocks, made my legs look longer. I had a buttocks now, a good one. I bought 3 pairs. Then came tops that didn't hide everything. The first V-neck I tried on showed actual cleavage. These breasts deserved to be seen, not hidden under baggy fabric. The confidence boost was immediate. Leo noticed immediately when I got home. Wow, you look different, Leo said, eyes widening. Good different? I asked. Yeah, you look more like yourself, if that makes sense, Leo replied, trying not to stare at my chest. It did, actually. Week 4, I got bolder, discovered the joy of a well-fitted bra at Victoria's Secret. Seraphina had been wearing the wrong size completely. The lady measured me, brought out options that actually fit. The difference was night and day. My breasts actually had support. Looked incredible. Buying for a special occasion, the saleswoman asked while ringing me up. Just updating my wardrobe, I said. Good for you, honey. Every woman deserves to feel sexy, she winked. Sexy? That word followed me home. Could I be sexy? Did I want to be? Week 5, I discovered dresses. Started with a simple sundress that showed off my legs. The way it moved when I walked, the air between my thighs, the femininity of it. I caught my reflection in store windows and did double takes. That attractive woman was me. Week 6 brought the lingerie revolution. Standing in Victoria's Secret again, this time in the real lingerie section. The fancy stuff with lace and satin. I tried on a black lace set that made my breasts look incredible. The panties highlighting my buttocks perfectly. Going somewhere special? The saleswoman asked while boxing up my purchases. Just feeling myself, I replied with newfound confidence. Leo was in the living room when I got home with my bags. Another shopping trip? Leo asked, eyeing the pink bags. Updating the wardrobe, I said. Seraphina dressed pretty conservatively, huh? Leo observed. Seraphina dressed like she was afraid someone might notice she had tits and a buttocks. I'm not Seraphina, I stated. Leo looked at me thoughtfully. No, you're not. You're Marcus. In a different package, maybe, but still you. Exactly, I agreed. Leo and I fell into a routine. Movie nights became our thing, just like before, but the dynamic was different now. Before, we'd sit on opposite ends of the couch. Now, I was hyper-aware of the space between us. When he'd pass me the popcorn bowl, our fingers would brush and I'd feel this little jolt. When cooking together was worse, or better, I couldn't decide. Our kitchen was tiny, designed for one person. When he'd reach around me to grab something from the upper cabinet, his chest would press against my back and I'd forget what I was doing. When I'd squeeze past him to get to the fridge, my breast would brush his arm and we'd both pretend not to notice. He helped me through my first period in this body, which was a nightmare. I know theoretically what to do, I said through the bathroom door. But knowing and doing are very different things. Want me to go to the store? Leo offered. I don't even know what to buy. I wailed. He came back with one of everything: pads, tampons, chocolate, ice cream, and a heating pad. My ex said the heating pad was crucial, Leo explained. You're the best, I said, nearly crying from the gesture. Yeah, well, you held my hair when I had food poisoning. This is just returning the favor. Sort of. Leo shrugged. The attraction snuck up on me. One night, we were watching an action movie, sharing popcorn. Our hands touched, reaching for the bowl, and I felt that electric spark. But this time, I didn't pull away. I looked at him and suddenly noticed things. The way his jaw looked, how his t-shirt stretched across his chest, the V of his hips when he stretched. When had Leo gotten hot, or had he always been hot and I just couldn't see it before? Crap. I was attracted to my straight male roommate as a woman. This body had opinions about Leo that my old one never did. I tried to ignore it, but the feelings got stronger. When he'd walk around shirtless after showering, the thermostats would react and I'd have to look away. The water droplets on his chest, the trail of hair leading into his sweatpants. When he hugged me, I fit perfectly against his chest now. Could hear his heartbeat, smell his cologne that was doing things to my lower facilities. When he dated other girls, I felt jealous. Not fair that some random girl got to touch him when I was right here. How was your date? I'd ask the next morning, trying to sound casual. Fine, she was nice, Leo would say, shrugging. Just nice? I'd probe. Yeah, I don't know. Something was off, he'd admit. Good, I'd think, then feel guilty. The tension was killing me. Every interaction felt charged. When he helped me reach something on a high shelf, his body pressed against mine. When we cooked together, we'd bump hips and I'd feel warm all over. I started having dreams about him. Started doing extra apartment maintenance while thinking about him. Had to check the basement flooding situation multiple times. 6 weeks after the swap, We were both pretty drunk on a Friday night. Leo had gotten dumped again, and we were commiserating about dating. I don't get it, Leo slurred. Am I that bad? You're not bad at all, I said, wine making me honest. You're actually pretty great. Yeah, then why can't I keep a girlfriend? Leo asked, looking genuinely hurt. Maybe you're looking in the wrong places, I suggested. Leo looked at me, then really looked at me. Marcus, Seraphina, whoever you are now, can I ask you something weird? Weirder than my entire existence? I laughed. Do you still like girls or guys now? Or? Leo trailed off. I thought about it. Really thought about it. I don't know. This body seems to have its own opinions. And lately. I paused. Lately what? Leo pressed. Lately, I've been noticing you, I admitted. The silence stretched. Leo stared at me. I wanted to take it back, blame the wine, but it was out there now. Me? Leo's voice was rough. Yeah, which I know is weird, and you're straight, and I'm technically your male roommate in a female body. And I rambled. He kissed me. Soft at first, hesitant. Then I kissed back, and it was like a dam burst. 6 weeks of confusion and frustration and attraction just exploded. His hands in my hair, my breasts pressed against his chest. Everything feeling right for the first time since I woke up in this skin. We pulled apart, breathing hard. I've wanted to do that for weeks, Leo admitted. Is that weird? You're Marcus, but you're also this, and I can't stop thinking about you. Leo, I started. I know it's complicated. I know this whole situation is insane, but maybe that's okay. Maybe we just see where this goes, Leo suggested. We took it slow. Making out on the couch became our new favorite activity. He was careful, always checking if I was comfortable. I was learning what this body wanted, what made it respond. Turns out it very much wanted Leo. 2 weeks of heated makeout sessions and growing tension later, we finally went further. Are you sure? Leo asked, both of us tangled on his bed. Very sure, I confirmed. That night was educational. Leo knew what he was doing, and I was an eager tenant ready for a full apartment tour. We had multiple property viewings, checked every room, tested all the appliances. When we finally signed the lease, well, turns out this apartment came with that sprinkler system feature. The waterworks were impressive. Absolutely soaked everything. Leo just laughed and grabbed towels. That was unexpected, he said. I'm telling you, I gasped, still shaking. Want to tour the property again? Leo asked with a grin. We did. Multiple times. Turns out this body's ability to handle multiple apartment showings was impressive. And Leo was happy to be my realtor. So, Leo said after both of us were tangled in sheets, how was your first time, from that side? Different. Good. Different. Really good. Different, I panted. Want to go again, he asked. Give me 5 minutes, maybe 10. We became roommates with benefits. Really good benefits. Full dental and medical, if you know what I mean. No labels, no pressure, just 2 people helping each other with household needs. He dated occasionally, but always came back to me. I didn't date at all. Life settled into an exhilarating new rhythm. The initial shock had long worn off, replaced by a strange mix of acceptance and a growing sense of self-discovery. I was still Marcus inside, but Seraphina's body had undeniably imprinted itself on my existence. I found myself instinctively crossing my legs when sitting, adjusting my gait to accommodate my hips, and even developing a slight vocal inflection I hadn't possessed before. These weren't conscious decisions, they were simply becoming me. Leo, bless his heart, was my constant anchor. He'd seen me through the worst of it, from the embarrassing bathroom mishaps to the existential dread that would sometimes creep in at 3 a.m. He was the one person who truly knew what I was going through, and his unwavering belief in me, regardless of my physical form, was everything. Our relationship, initially born of shared living space and an undeniable physical spark, had matured into something profound. We still had our apartment inspections. In fact, they'd become more frequent, more adventurous, and infinitely more satisfying as I continued to unlock the secrets of this body with Leo as my eager guide. But beyond the physical, there was a deep, comfortable intimacy. We talked for hours, sharing dreams, fears, and the mundane details of our days. He'd bring me coffee in bed, remembering exactly how I liked it. A splash of almond milk, 1 sugar, not 2. I'd cook his favorite pasta dish, experimenting with new spices until I perfected it. We were building a life, brick by brick, laughter by laughter, and sometimes argument by argument over who left the milk out. At work, things were manageable. I still had to endure the occasional leering glance from the boss or the unsolicited advice from female colleagues about my wardrobe choices, but I'd grown a thicker skin. I'd learned to deflect, to assert myself, and to use Seraphina's outwardly soft appearance to my advantage when necessary, often surprising people with Marcus's directness. My performance at work had actually improved. The shift in perspective, the sheer effort of navigating a new identity, had sharpened my wits and made me more adaptable. The old Marcus might have been complacent. The new Seraphina, imbued with Marcus's drive, was anything but. My old desk remained empty. The official story of Marcus's family emergency and relocation had faded into office legend. Sometimes, a new intern would ask about that Marcus guy, and I'd offer a vague, polite answer, not forming in my stomach. The thought of Seraphina out there, living my life, using my body, still gnawed at me. Was she happy? Was she good at being Marcus? Did she even care? The anger was a constant simmer beneath the surface, occasionally flaring into a full-blown rage when I imagined her casually strolling through my old life. One afternoon, while working late, an old email notification popped up on Seraphina's corporate account, tucked away in an archived folder. It was from an unknown sender, dated a few days before the swap. The subject line was cryptic: "The ritual awaits." I clicked it open, a chill running down my spine. The body of the email was even stranger, a string of seemingly random numbers and symbols, interspersed with fragmented Latin phrases. It looked like gibberish, but a few words stood out: exchange, vessel, new dawn. Below that, a blurry, pixelated image was attached. It was a dimly lit room, stone walls, a circular symbol on the floor, and 2 cloaked figures standing before a glowing orb on a table. Candles flickered around it. My heart pounded. This wasn't just some random prank. This looked ancient. Occult. I felt a cold dread settle in. Was Seraphina involved in something like this? Was the swap not a random act of a jealous colleague, but a deliberate, planned ritual? I immediately forwarded the email to my personal account, the one I now used as Seraphina, and deleted it from the work server, covering my tracks. I didn't know why, but a primal instinct told me this information was dangerous, and I couldn't risk it being discovered here. That night, I showed the email and image to Leo. He stared at the screen, his usually easygoing face etched with concern. "What the hell is this, Seraphina?" he asked, using my new name, which still felt strange when discussing such bizarre things. "I don't know, Leo. I found it in an old archived folder in Seraphina's work email. Dated just before, you know." He nodded gravely. "The ritual awaits. Exchange. Vessel. This is unsettling." We spent hours trying to decode the symbols, searching online for similar occult imagery or Latin phrases. Nothing conclusive. The numbers seemed to be a code, perhaps a date, a location, or something else entirely. Do you think this wasn't just a random body swap?" I asked, my voice barely a whisper. "Do you think she planned this?" Leo squeezed my hand. "It definitely points that way, doesn't it? Seraphina wasn't just some flirty coworker looking for a good time. She came for you, Marcus. For your body." The thought sent shivers down my spine. It added a layer of malicious premeditation that made my anger boil anew. She hadn't just stumbled into my life, she had hunted it. The next few weeks were a blur of work, our blossoming relationship, and clandestine research into the occult. My afternoons were spent poring over ancient texts online, trying to make sense of the fragmented Latin phrases, while Leo, with his surprisingly sharp eye for patterns, tried to crack the numeric code. We found snippets of information about body-swapping rituals, tales of ancient covens seeking new vessels for various purposes, eternal youth, escaping an old life, gaining power. It was like something out of a fantasy novel, terrifyingly real. This new quest added a different kind of tension to our lives. It was no longer just about me adapting to a new body. It was about understanding why this happened, and if there was any way to reverse it. The hope, however faint, that I might one day return to my old body flickered to life, even as I acknowledged how much I had grown to embrace this new existence. And Leo. Leo was right there with me. He didn't question the sanity of our endeavor. He simply joined in, a loyal partner in this insane mystery. One evening, after another fruitless research session, I felt a wave of despair wash over me. What if we never figure it out, Leo? What if I'm stuck like this forever? I asked, burying my face in my hands. He pulled me close, wrapping his arms around me. Then we make the most of it, Seraphina. You're still you. That's what matters. And whoever Seraphina is, whatever she did, she inadvertently gave me the woman I love. His words were a balm to my aching soul. I knew he meant it. Our love wasn't contingent on my original form. It had bloomed in the most unexpected of circumstances. But still, the questions lingered. What was the meaning of the symbols? Who was the sender of that email? And most importantly, where was Seraphina now, living my life, and what was her ultimate purpose? The blurry image of the ritual room kept replaying in my mind. The cloaked figures, the glowing orb. It felt like a ticking clock, urging me to uncover the truth before it was too late. I knew this was just the beginning of a much larger, more dangerous game. And for the first time, I felt a thrill of resolve mixed with the fear. I wasn't just Seraphina anymore. I was Marcus, in Seraphina's body on a mission. Our lives became a double existence. By day, I was Seraphina, the increasingly confident marketing assistant, navigating office politics and blossoming romance with Leo. By night, we were detectives, hunched over Leo's laptop, surrounded by printouts of arcane symbols and cryptic Latin. The ritual email, once a disturbing anomaly, had become our obsession. We meticulously dissected every character, every phrase, convinced it held the key to understanding and perhaps reversing my predicament. The more we researched, the darker the rabbit hole became. We stumbled upon legends of the Order of the Whispering Moon, a clandestine society rumored to practice ancient body-swapping magic, seeking to prolong life or escape undesirable fates by taking new vessels. Their rituals, often performed during specific lunar phases, were said to be incredibly complex, requiring precise astrological alignments and potent magical artifacts. The fragmented Latin in the email, when pieced together, hinted at invocations to lunar deities and references to a Crimson Eclipse, a rare celestial event that, according to our research, would occur in approximately 3 months. A knot of dread tightened in my stomach. Could that be the time frame for Seraphina's next move, or perhaps when the swap became truly irreversible? Leo, ever the pragmatist, focused on the numeric code in the email, 5379, XYZ 814K. He tried everything, military grids, old phone numbers, even obscure library classifications. Nothing. He then turned his attention to the visual elements of the attached image, particularly the circular symbol on the floor. It resembled an astrological chart, but with unique, stylized glyphs we couldn't immediately identify. He spent hours cross-referencing it with dozens of historical occult symbols, drawing connections that felt tenuous at best. My emotions were a roller coaster. One moment, I'd be filled with renewed determination, fantasizing about confronting Seraphina and reclaiming my life. The next, a wave of resignation would hit, making me question if chasing this impossible dream was even worth it when I had such a good life now with Leo. This internal conflict was draining. I was Marcus, fiercely independent and driven, but Seraphina's body, with its new hormonal rhythms, amplified my emotional responses. Little things that Marcus would have brushed off now caused disproportionate distress or elation. Leo was incredibly patient, a rock in my emotional storms. He learned to distinguish between Marcus's frustration and Seraphina's sudden mood swing, though he'd tease me about the latter with a gentle smile. Sometimes, I confessed to him one evening, curled up on the couch after a particularly frustrating research night, I miss me. The old me. The one who didn't have to worry about periods or cleavage or men staring on the subway. The one who could just be. Leo stroked my hair. I know, Seraphina. And that guy, Marcus, he's still in here, he said, tapping my chest lightly. He just got a super-powered upgrade. And he's pretty damn amazing. His words warmed me, reminding me that even amidst the chaos, I had found something invaluable. But the yearning for answers, for closure, was a deep, persistent ache. I needed to know why Seraphina chose me. Was it my competence at work? My seemingly stable, uncomplicated life? Or was there something else, something hidden within Marcus's identity that Seraphina coveted? The lack of personal connection was infuriating. We barely knew each other before the swap. This wasn't revenge or a personal vendetta. It felt colder, more calculating. One breakthrough came unexpectedly. Leo was playing a puzzle game on his phone, a simple matching game with geometric shapes. He looked up at the intricate circular symbol from the ritual image, then back at his phone. "Hold on," he murmured. He started fiddling with the settings on his game, changing the patterns. These glyphs, they look like a stylized font almost. Like an ancient alphabet that's been modified. He opened a new browser tab and started searching for ancient ceremonial alphabets and hidden fonts. After an hour of digging, he found something. A near-identical set of symbols, attributed to a forgotten branch of alchemists from the Renaissance era, rumored to have ties to various secretive mystical orders. "This is it," Leo exclaimed, pointing at his screen. "This font, these symbols, they match perfectly. It's called Ethel's script. With the key to the script, we quickly translated the Latin phrases more accurately. They spoke of soul transference, blood sacrifice, and the nexus point of converging wills. Blood sacrifice? My stomach churned. This was far more sinister than we initially thought. More importantly, the numeric code 5379, XYZ 814K, when cross-referenced with the Ethel script as a kind of cryptographic key, began to yield a sequence of letters, LOCATON. It wasn't just a random set of numbers, it was a coded message, hinting at coordinates or a geographical reference. Leo's eyes lit up. "This isn't just theory, Seraphina. This is a map. She's left us a trail." The realization sent a jolt of adrenaline through me. A trail. Seraphina had left clues. Was it accidental? Or was she, in some twisted way, challenging me? The next phase of our investigation began, pinpointing the location. The remaining characters XYZ 814K were harder to decipher. They didn't directly translate to geographical coordinates using any standard system. We tried longitude/latitude, street addresses, even zip codes. Nothing. It felt like a riddle within a riddle, a final lock on Seraphina's hidden message. This renewed sense of purpose, of actually having a tangible lead, revitalized me. The depression that had sometimes threatened to consume me receded, replaced by a focused resolve. I wasn't just a victim anymore. I was a participant in this twisted game, and I was going to play to win. Leo, seeing my renewed energy, matched it with his own relentless efforts. Our apartment slowly transformed into a war room, littered with maps, ancient texts, and whiteboard full of theories. One evening, while I was showering, I caught myself humming a tune. It was a jingle from an old commercial for a defunct local amusement park, Wonderland Park, that Leo and I used to visit as kids. It had been built on the outskirts of our city, famous for its grand, Gothic-inspired architecture and a terrifying haunted house ride. A fleeting memory surfaced. Seraphina had casually mentioned Wonderland Park during a conversation at the office, commenting on its eerie beauty. Why would she know about that old park? I pondered. It was a local landmark, but certainly not a tourist hotspot, especially not for someone new to the area like she supposedly was. Stepping out of the shower, a thought struck me with the force of a physical blow. The XYZ 814K segment of the code. Wonderland Park had been famous for its three main zones, the Xylos Forest, the Zenith Tower, and the Cryptus Labyrinth. And the year it closed due to a mysterious fire? 1984, XYZ for the zones, 84 for the year, K for Cryptus, its most secretive, underground section. My heart hammered against my ribs. It was a long shot, but it felt right. I rushed to Leo, still dripping wet, the towel barely clinging to me. "Leo, Wonderland Park. The XYZ 814K. It has to be it. I blurted out, my voice breathless with excitement and cold. Leo stared, processing my frantic words, then his eyes widened. The old amusement park? The Cryptis Labyrinth was like a maze underneath the main grounds, right? They said it had secret chambers. A new destination. A potential location for Seraphina, or at least for answers. It was a perilous, uncertain path leading to a place steeped in urban legends and decay. But it was a path nonetheless. We had a lead, a direction, and a growing sense that our lives were about to become far more dangerous than just deciphering cryptic emails. This wasn't just about a body anymore. It was about unraveling a conspiracy and confronting whatever dark forces Seraphina had aligned herself with. The Crimson Eclipse loomed, and we were running out of time. The discovery of the Wonderland Park connection felt like a lightning strike, electrifying our stagnant investigation. We spent the next few days in a feverish state, poring over old maps of the defunct amusement park, poring over local legends, and even diving into online forums dedicated to urban exploration and local folklore. Wonderland Park wasn't just an abandoned theme park. It was a local legend, a place whispered about in hushed tones, rumored to be haunted, its underground Cryptis Labyrinth said to contain hidden passages and even more sinister secrets. The official story was that Wonderland Park closed after a devastating fire in 1984, but whispers always persisted about strange occurrences, sudden disappearances, and a general air of unease that permeated its grand, Gothic-inspired structures even before the blaze. The Cryptis Labyrinth, in particular, was the subject of countless ghost stories, with tales of cult-like gatherings taking place deep within its subterranean chambers. It was precisely the kind of place where an ancient, shadowy order might conduct their rituals. "This is insane," Seraphina, Leo said, tracing a finger over a faded blueprint of the labyrinth. "We're talking about breaking into an abandoned, potentially dangerous place based on a cryptic email and a hunch about a defunct amusement park jingle." He looked at me, his eyes full of both trepidation and unwavering support. "I know," I admitted, a tremor in my voice. "But what choice do we have? This is the first real lead we've had. If Seraphina used this place for the swap, or if she's planning something else there, we have to know." The thought of encountering Seraphina, of seeing my old body, filled me with a complex mix of dread, longing, and a fierce determination. What would I say? What would she say? Would I even recognize the man who used to be me? We began preparing for our excursion. Leo, ever practical, insisted on a comprehensive list of supplies. Flashlights, extra batteries, a first aid kit, durable clothes, and sturdy shoes. We even bought a couple of cheap, disposable walkie-talkies in case our cell service failed underground. The days leading up to our planned infiltration were filled with nervous energy. My apartment maintenance sessions became less about exploration and more about releasing pent-up anxiety. This body, with its heightened emotional responses, sometimes felt overwhelmed by the weight of our quest. Leo, sensing my tension, would often just hold me, offering silent comfort that spoke volumes. "Remember," he said one evening, his arms wrapped around me, "we're going for information, not a confrontation. If we find anything, we get out. Safety first." I nodded into his shoulder, appreciating his caution. Marcus might have charged in headfirst, but Seraphina's body, and the life I was building, made me more aware of the stakes. I had something to lose now, Leo, and this strange, new life we shared. The day of our expedition arrived, shrouded in a thick, early morning fog that added to the ominous atmosphere. We drove to the outskirts of town, parking Leo's beat-up sedan a mile away from the park entrance, hidden amongst a cluster of overgrown trees. The chain-link fence surrounding Wonderland Park was old, rusty, and easily bypassed through a section that had long ago been torn open, likely by other urban explorers or thrill-seeking teenagers. As we slipped through the gap in the fence, the air grew heavy with the scent of damp earth and decay. Twisted remnants of roller coasters rose like skeletal giants against the gray sky. Faded cartoon mascots stared blankly from crumbling walls, their painted smiles now grotesque. It was an eerie landscape, a monument to forgotten joys and lingering shadows. The silence was profound, broken only by the crunch of our boots on shattered pavement and the distant caw of a crow. My heart beat a rapid tattoo against my ribs. This was real. We navigated through the overgrown paths, consulting our salvaged map, heading towards the area where the crypt's labyrinth entrance was marked. The further we went, the more dilapidated the surroundings became. Buildings stood as empty shells, windows shattered, roofs caved in. It felt like walking through a post-apocalyptic movie set, but the stakes were terrifyingly real. We finally reached what used to be the House of Horrors, a grand, crumbling edifice with chipped paint and a permanently sinister facade. According to our research, the entrance to the crypt's labyrinth was hidden beneath it, a secret passage used by park employees and later, perhaps, by those who sought its hidden depths for darker purposes. The door, a heavy, bolted piece of reinforced steel, was surprisingly intact, but rusted shut. Any bright ideas? I whispered, shining my flashlight over the ancient mechanism. Leo, ever resourceful, produced a set of lockpicking tools he'd borrowed from his handyman uncle. "Hey, you never know when these might come in handy," he'd said with a grin when he showed them to me. Now, they were our only hope. He set to work, his brow furrowed in concentration. The metallic clicks echoed unnaturally loudly in the oppressive silence. It took him a tense 15 minutes, but finally, with a soft thunk, the lock gave way. We pushed open the heavy door, a gust of stale, earthy air washing over us. Darkness swallowed the light from our flashlights, a thick, impenetrable void that seemed to breathe. A narrow, winding staircase descended into the gloom, its stone steps slick with moisture. The air grew colder, heavier, filled with an ancient, musty scent. I shivered, not just from the cold. "Ready?" Leo whispered, looking at me, his face illuminated by the beam of his flashlight. I took a deep breath, trying to steady my nerves. This wasn't just about Marcus anymore. It was about Seraphina, the Order, and the looming Crimson Eclipse. I had to be strong for both of us. "As I'll ever be," I replied, my voice more steady than I felt. We began our descent into the crypt's labyrinth. The staircase was long, twisting, leading us deeper and deeper underground. The silence was absolute, broken only by the drip of unseen water and the scuttling of tiny creatures in the shadows. My mind raced, trying to anticipate what we might find. An empty chamber? A hidden lair? Or something far worse? As we reached the bottom, the staircase opened into a vast, cavernous space. Our flashlights cut through the darkness, revealing a complex network of tunnels, chambers, and carvings on the walls that looked eerily similar to the symbols from the ritual email. This was it. This was the place. The air thrummed with a faint, almost imperceptible energy, a residual echo of whatever rituals had been performed here. In the center of the largest chamber, our flashlights landed on a circular platform. And on that platform, etched into the ancient stone, was the exact same astrological symbol from Seraphina's email, the very symbol that had helped us decipher the Ethel script. Surrounding it were what appeared to be dark, dried stains on the stone floor. Blood. The realization hit me like a physical blow. This was where it happened. This was where Seraphina performed the swap. My body, Marcus's body, had been here, laid out on this very spot, for some arcane purpose. A wave of nausea washed over me. The abstract horror of the body swap suddenly became sickeningly tangible. This wasn't just a bizarre accident, it was a deliberate, calculated act of ritualistic magic. And I, Marcus, was her unwitting sacrifice. The anger surged, hot and furious, momentarily overriding the fear. I wanted to scream, to smash something, to demand answers from the empty, echoing chamber. Leo put a reassuring hand on my shoulder. "Easy, Seraphina. Take a breath." He knew what I was feeling without me saying a word. He looked around the chamber, his flashlight beam sweeping across the walls. "Look," he pointed, "more symbols. And these look newer." Etched crudely onto the ancient stone, almost like a hasty addition, were fresh markings. They weren't the ornate, Ethel script, but simpler, almost frantic scratches. And amongst them, one symbol stood out, repeated multiple times, a stylized crescent moon, with a single, weeping eye at its center. It was a symbol we hadn't encountered in our research, but it felt oddly familiar, resonating with a disturbing echo from somewhere deep within Seraphina's memories. My memories. The body's memories. The weeping moon, I whispered, a strange sense of recognition stirring within me. I feel like I've seen this before. Or heard of it. Leo looked at me, his eyes sharp. Where? When? I closed my eyes, trying to grasp the elusive memory. It was fleeting, like a half-forgotten dream. A fleeting image of a dark room, a flickering candle, and a voice, whispering about the sorrow of the vessel. A memory, perhaps, from Seraphina's actual past, that my consciousness was now beginning to access. This body held not just its physical form, but also fragments of its original owner's experiences. This was an unexpected and deeply unsettling development. We were not just investigating a ritual, we were becoming entangled in the complex and potentially dangerous history of Seraphina herself. The labyrinth's shadow was far deeper than we could have imagined. The weeping moon symbol became our next puzzle. The fleeting memory I'd accessed, combined with the fresh carvings in the labyrinth, indicated a recent, personal connection to Seraphina. This wasn't just about a generic ritual anymore, it was about her. What kind of past had this body lived before it became my prison, and now my vessel? Back at the apartment, the eerie silence of the labyrinth was replaced by the comforting hum of the refrigerator, but the memory of those carvings and the feeling of recognition wouldn't leave me. I found myself drawn to Seraphina's few remaining belongings, a small, unassuming jewelry box she'd left behind, a worn diary tucked away in a drawer. Leo was hesitant. Is that right, going through her personal stuff like this? He asked, his brow furrowed. She stole my life, Leo, I countered, my voice firm. I think I'm entitled to know why. He nodded, seeing the logic, if not the comfort, in my argument. The jewelry box held nothing but costume pieces, cheap and uninspired. But the diary was a revelation. It was mostly filled with mundane daily entries, chronicling Seraphina's life before the swap, her struggles at work, her frustrations with dating, her quiet longing for something more. But scattered throughout, hidden between the lines of ordinary existence, were subtle clues. References to the path, the initiates, and secretive meetings. And then, there it was, a crudely drawn sketch of the weeping moon symbol, accompanied by fragmented poetry about the sorrow of the vessel and the ultimate sacrifice for true awakening. The entries became more frequent and frantic in the months leading up to the swap. They spoke of a mentor, a mistress Isolde, who promised Seraphina a way out of her unremarkable life, a chance for a new beginning through a powerful ritual. There were vague mentions of a Crimson Eclipse being the auspicious time for a grand culmination. It all clicked into place, the pieces of Seraphina's motivation falling together in a disturbing pattern. She wasn't just a random colleague, she was a desperate woman seeking transformation, groomed by a sinister organization. One entry, dated a week before the swap, made my blood run cold. Mistress Isolde says the vessel must be untainted, strong of spirit, yet unsuspecting. He must embody what I lack: confidence, ambition, a clear path. Marcus fits the description perfectly. The preparations are almost complete. Soon, my new life will begin. A wave of pure fury washed over me. She chose me, I whispered, showing the entry to Leo, my hands trembling. She targeted me. This wasn't just some random cosmic lottery. Leo put an arm around me, his face grim. She was desperate, Marcus. Desperate enough to believe in this order, and their promises. The diary also contained coded messages, more complex than the previous ones, suggesting a network of other initiates and specific dates for secret gatherings. The name Mistress Isolde appeared frequently, always with a tone of reverence and fear. She was clearly the architect of Seraphina's transformation, and, likely, the leader of the local cell of the Order of the Whispering Moon. So, what do we do now? Leo asked, rubbing his temples. We have a name, a motive, and a confirmation of the ritual site. But what's the endgame here for them? What happens after the swap? I thought about the Crimson Eclipse, looming 3 months away. The diary mentions the Crimson Eclipse as a culmination. Maybe that's when the swap becomes irreversible, or when they perform some larger ritual. We need to find this Isolde. She's the key. Our investigation shifted from just understanding the past to actively seeking out the Order. We meticulously cross-referenced names and vague locations from Seraphina's diary with public records and online social media. It was painstaking work, but we found a few potential leads. One name, Alara Vance, a reclusive art collector known for her fascination with ancient myths and occult artifacts, seemed to fit the profile of a wealthy, influential leader. Her sprawling estate, on the outskirts of the city, was shrouded in mystery, often hosting secretive, cultural gatherings. Could she be Mistress Isolde? This is getting dangerous, Seraphina, Leo warned, his voice serious. These aren't just a bunch of teenagers playing D&D. If they're capable of body swaps, who knows what else they're into? And if this Alara Vance is Isolde, she's probably incredibly powerful and well-connected. I know, I replied, a cold resolve settling in my heart. But I can't just let her get away with it. Not with my body. Not with my life. The thought of Seraphina, living as Marcus, while Isolde orchestrated further dark rituals, was unbearable. I needed to confront them, to understand, and, if possible, to reclaim what was mine. The emotional toll of constantly navigating Seraphina's memories was also growing. Sometimes, a scent or a sound would trigger a vivid flashback. Seraphina's childhood fear of thunder, a favorite song she used to hum, a long-lost friend's face. These weren't my memories, but they felt intensely real within this body. It was like living with a ghost, a constant reminder of the woman whose skin I now inhabited. It was confusing, disorienting, and sometimes heartbreakingly sad. Seraphina, despite her desperate act, had been a person with her own hopes and sorrows. I was living her life, but also, in a strange way, becoming a custodian of her buried past. Leo noticed the shift. "Are you okay?" he'd ask gently, when he saw me lost in thought, a faraway look in my eyes. I tried to explain the fragmented memories, the sense of another consciousness stirring within. He listened patiently, always affirming that I was still Marcus, even with these new layers. His acceptance was my anchor in this confusing sea of identity. Our plan began to take shape. We would discreetly investigate Alara Vance, looking for any connections to the Order or the Weeping Moon symbol. We needed to gather more evidence, understand their power structure, and find a way to approach Isolde without putting ourselves in immediate danger. The Crimson Eclipse was fast approaching, a deadline etched into our very souls. One night, while researching Alara Vance, we found an obscure article from a local newspaper, dated years ago, reporting on the mysterious disappearance of Vance's younger sister, Lilith, who was a known enthusiast of esoteric arts. The article mentioned Lilith had been last seen near Wonderland Park. My heart gave a lurch. Was this a coincidence? Or was Lilith's disappearance connected to the Order? Had she been another vessel, or perhaps an unwilling sacrifice? The web of intrigue was growing, drawing us deeper into a sinister world we barely understood. The stakes were higher now. It wasn't just about my body, but about exposing a dangerous cult, potentially saving others from a similar fate, or even, in some desperate hope, finding a way to undo what had been done. I looked at Leo, his face determined, his eyes reflecting the glow of the laptop screen. He was in this with me, every step of the way. We were a team, Marcus in Seraphina's body, and Leo, my unwavering partner. Whatever lay ahead, we would face it together. The Weeping Moon symbol seemed to watch us from the diary's pages, a silent sentinel of Seraphina's sorrow and the Order's dark designs. Our investigation into Alara Vance intensified. We pored over public records, news archives, and even social media profiles, piecing together a mosaic of her life. She was indeed a prominent figure in the city's art and cultural circles, known for her extravagant galas and her enigmatic persona. Her estate, a sprawling Gothic mansion on a secluded hill, was rumored to house a vast collection of occult artifacts. The more we learned, the more certain we became. Alara Vance was Mistress Isolde. The disappearance of her sister, Lilith, resonated deeply. We found more articles detailing Lilith's fascination with ancient magic and her increasing involvement with secretive groups before she vanished. A chilling thought occurred to me. What if Lilith hadn't just disappeared? What if she had been the first vessel Isolde had acquired, an early experiment in soul transference? The idea that Isolde had been perfecting this dark art for years, possibly at the expense of her own sister, was sickening. We can't just walk up to her front door, Seraphina, Leo cautioned as we discussed our next move. She's not just some random cult leader, she's powerful. We need a plan, a way to get inside, to get information, without revealing ourselves. Our opportunity came in the form of an invitation to one of Alara Vance's exclusive Autumn Equinox Salon events. A former colleague of Seraphina's, a socialite who still occasionally invited Seraphina to high society gatherings, forwarded the electronic invitation. It was the perfect cover. "This is it," I said, a mix of apprehension and grim satisfaction. We get in, we look for clues, we try to find out what Isolde's ultimate goal is. The night of the salon, I dressed meticulously in one of Seraphina's more elegant dresses, a flowing, dark green gown that surprisingly suited this body. Leo, in a sharp suit, looked incredibly handsome, a comforting presence beside me. As we approached the Vance estate, the Gothic architecture seemed to loom larger in the moonlight, gargoyles leering from the rooftops. Inside, the mansion was a dizzying array of opulent decor, ancient art, and strange, unsettling artifacts. Tapestries depicting mythical creatures adorned the walls, while glass cases held what looked like ancient ceremonial daggers and strange, glowing stones. Alara Vance herself was a striking woman, older than I expected, with sharp, intelligent eyes that seemed to miss nothing. Her silver hair was elegantly coiffed, and she moved with an air of regal authority. She was undeniably charismatic, holding court among her guests, who seemed to hang on her every word. There was a subtle power about her, an aura of quiet menace beneath the veneer of sophisticated charm. When her gaze briefly met mine across the crowded room, a jolt went through me. It was a fleeting, assessing look, as if she knew or suspected something. We mingled, pretending to be enthralled by the conversations about abstract art and esoteric philosophy, all the while scanning the room for anything out of place. We noticed several guests wearing small, silver pendants shaped like the weeping moon symbol. It confirmed our suspicions. This was indeed a gathering of the order. While Leo subtly distracted a group of guests near a display of ancient scrolls, I slipped away, making my way towards a dimly lit corridor that seemed less frequented. I had a hunch. Seraphina's diary mentioned a hidden sanctum within Isolde's residence, where the most sacred rituals were performed. My instincts, or perhaps Seraphina's residual memories, guided me. I found a heavy, oak door at the end of the corridor, partially obscured by a large tapestry. It felt ancient, radiating a faint, cold energy. My hand trembled as I pushed it open. Inside, a narrow, winding staircase, just like the one in Wonderland Park, descended into darkness. This was it. Downstairs, a large, circular chamber awaited, eerily similar to the one beneath Wonderland Park. But this one was far more elaborate, adorned with intricate carvings, esoteric symbols painted in vibrant, glowing pigments, and a large, crystalline orb pulsating with a soft, purple light in the center. Around it, cloaked figures stood in silent vigil, their faces obscured by deep hoods. And on a raised dais, facing the orb, was Mistress Isolde from behind one of the pillars. The sight that met my eyes sent a shockwave through me, freezing me in place. On an altar, laid out like a sacrifice, was a woman. And beside Isolde, glowing with an ethereal purple light that matched the orb, stood another woman identical to me in every way. It was Seraphina's body, the one I currently inhabited, dressed in a similar flowing green gown, but her eyes held a cold, calculating intensity that was utterly foreign. And standing right beside her, holding her hand, was a man. My heart stopped. It was Marcus. My old body, looking older, more strained, but undeniably me. Before I could react, Isolde's sharp eyes darted towards me. "Welcome, Seraphina." Or should I say, Marcus. Her voice was low, resonant, filled with an ancient power. The cloaked figures turned, their shadowed faces fixing on me. Leo, having followed me, appeared at the entrance, his face paling as he took in the scene. "You knew I'd come," I stated, my voice shaking with a mixture of fear and rage. Isolde smiled, a chilling, triumphant expression. "Of course. You carry the essence of an untamed spirit, Marcus. Predictable, in your quest for truth." Seraphina was merely a stepping stone, a means to an end. She gestured to the woman on the altar. "This is the true sacrifice. A powerful new vessel. And you, Seraphina," she looked at my body, "the one I now inhabited, you have served your purpose well. The vessel is now ready." My mind reeled. Seraphina, the woman I had been inhabiting, was not the true target. She was merely a temporary host, a preparation for some larger, darker ritual. The woman on the altar was the real intended recipient of Isolde's magic. And my original body, Marcus, was standing there, his eyes vacant, controlled by Seraphina. "What have you done to him?" I demanded, pointing at my old body. "What have you done to Marcus?" The Seraphina in my old body spoke, her voice my voice, but twisted with a cruel satisfaction. "He is merely comfortable, serving his new purpose. A loyal partner to my new life." She smiled, a chilling echo of my smile. "And a loyal follower of Mistress Isolde." Isolde stepped forward, her gaze piercing. Seraphina craved a new life, a vibrant form. She agreed to this. She willingly surrendered her original body, and now it is time for the final transference. "The Crimson Eclipse is upon us." She pointed to a large astrological chart on the wall, showing the exact alignment of the celestial bodies for the upcoming rare eclipse. "The time is ripe for the perfect vessel to receive the ultimate power. A new dawn for our order." "You used Seraphina," I accused, my voice trembling with disgust. "You used her desperation." "And she used you, Marcus," Isolde retorted, her eyes glinting. "A fair exchange. But now it is time to conclude our grand design. Your current form, Seraphina, is no longer needed." She raised her hands, and the crystalline orb pulsed brighter, a blinding purple light filling the chamber. The cloaked figures began a low, chanting hum that reverberated through the very stones. The air grew heavy, crackling with dark energy. Leo, seeing the danger, lunged forward. "Seraphina, get out of here." But before he could reach me, two of the cloaked figures moved swiftly, blocking his path. The Seraphina in my old body, my own face, smirked. This was it. The culmination. The final act of Isolde's ritual. And I was trapped, facing my own stolen body, controlled by the woman who had orchestrated my nightmare, all orchestrated by the powerful, ancient leader of the Order of the Whispering Moon. The Crimson Eclipse was indeed upon us, and its shadow threatened to consume me entirely. The orb's violet light grew so intense that the air itself seemed to fracture. The chanting swelled, a deep, resonant hum that shook the stone chamber. My vision blurred, and I felt the pull, the familiar, sickening tug that came before a transference. My essence was being dragged, thread by thread, out of the body I wore. "No!" I screamed, clinging to the edges of consciousness, fighting against the current of magic. "You won't take me again." Isolde's voice thundered through the chaos. "Submit, Marcus. Your time in this vessel is over." But something unexpected stirred. The woman on the altar opened her eyes. For a brief second, her irises glowed gold, not purple. She looked straight at me and whispered, "Help me." The energy around us cracked, flickered. The ritual faltered. Leo, using the moment, broke free from the cloaked followers and hurled himself toward the altar. "Seraphina! Marcus! Whatever you are, stop her," he shouted, his voice desperate. I felt a surge of determination. This wasn't just about me anymore. If Isolde succeeded, she'd control all three souls, mine, Seraphina's, and the unknown woman's. I reached toward the orb. The moment my fingers brushed its surface, pain exploded through me, lightening under my skin, but along with it came a clarity. I could feel every thread connecting us, Isolde's power, Seraphina's ambition, my stolen life. And I did the only thing I could. I pulled. The orb screamed, a sound that wasn't sound but pure anguish. The chanting shattered into chaos as Isolde staggered back, eyes wide in disbelief. Impossible. You cannot. I tore the magic apart. A storm of light burst from the orb, swallowing everything in purple fire. I heard Leo shout my name, Isolde's curse, Seraphina's cry, and then silence. When I woke, the chamber was gone. I was lying in a field under a sky still glowing faintly crimson from the eclipse. My head ached, my body felt familiar. Too familiar. I looked down my hands. The rough scar across my palm. The same heartbeat. I was Marcus again. But across from me, Leo knelt beside someone, a woman in a tattered green gown. She blinked weakly, confusion in her eyes. "Marcus," she whispered. Where am I?" "Seraphina. The real Seraphina." Isolde was gone. So were the followers. The orb lay cracked in two beside us, its light extinguished. Leo looked between us, disbelief etched on his face. "It's over, right?" I stared at the horizon, where the last sliver of the crimson moon faded behind dark clouds. "I don't know," I murmured. "But something tells me, the whispering moon never truly dies." The wind carried a faint whisper, distant, echoing, almost like laughter.